Hello, Huyen. How would you feel if you and Maya had to leave this place where she has a new life?
Hello to all my loved ones. I can say that if I had to leave this place to return to my hometown, I would feel lost and scared. I am afraid that terrible things will happen again, and my ex-husband will constantly bother and cause me a lot of trouble. I still try every day here to have a better life with my daughter.
Hey everyone! Today we've got the latest updates on Huyen Day and their difficult journey. Huyen has always dreamed of returning to her hometown, hoping for a fresh start and a better life. But there's one huge obstacle standing in her way. She fears that her ex-husband will stop at nothing to make sure her family doesn't find peace. And just when things couldn't get more complicated, something shocking happens. Mr. Tu, the owner of the land Huyen and her family have been living on, suddenly appears and demands that they vacate the land so he can sell it. Now Huyen and Dee are faced with an impossible decision. What will they do next? Can they find a way to move forward, or will they be stuck in a never-ending cycle of uncertainty? Stay tuned as we dive into the major developments and the tough choices they have to make. But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of the latest updates on Huyen's journey. By the creek, Huyen sat quietly lost in thought, her mind weighed down by the heavy decision she was facing. She knew that Day had always dreamed of returning to his hometown, a place where they could build a better life together. He had spent countless days searching for work, but the opportunities were few and far between. This place was so remote, so isolated, that finding a job seemed almost impossible. Huyen couldn't help but think about how much harder life was here, how the hope for a fresh start seemed like it was slipping further away with each passing day. She couldn't help but feel torn, stuck between two worlds, unsure of which path would be best for her and Maya. What should I do, she wondered. I can't stay here, but I can't leave right now either. In her heart, she knew she longed to return to her hometown, to the familiar faces and the sense of belonging she once had. But the thought of going back filled her with dread. The fear was overwhelming. If she went back, her ex-husband would make her life a living hell again. The thought of facing that kind of torment made her stomach twist with fear. But staying here wasn't much of a solution either. Maya couldn't go to school here. The distance was too far, and without a way to get there, her education would suffer. And then there was the danger of the flood season. The creek, which seemed so peaceful now, could turn into a raging river, sweeping away everything in its path. The house they had worked so hard to build could be destroyed, and their lives could be in danger. Huyen felt trapped, each option leading to a future filled with uncertainty and fear. The weight of it all pressed on her chest, and she couldn't see a way out. She longed for a better future for Maya, for the safety and happiness of her family. Yet every decision felt like a choice between two evils. Staying meant risking everything they had built, while leaving meant facing her worst nightmare. She couldn't help but wonder if there was any way out of this, any hope for something better. To be honest, Huyen didn't want to go back to her hometown. It wasn't just the fear of her ex-husband, it was the pain of the past that still haunted her. But there was a strength inside her that refused to let her give up. Huyen was determined to stay, to fight through the hardships one step at a time. She couldn't let fear dictate her choices. She had to keep moving forward for Maya, for herself, for their future. The path wasn't clear, and the journey was far from easy, but she wasn't going to back down. She had the strength and the will to overcome whatever came her way. Huyen walked back to the house, her heart heavy but determined. It was time to help Maya with her lessons. Since they couldn't afford to send her to school, both she and Dee took turns teaching the little girl to read and write, hoping that one day, when Maya could finally attend school, she'd be able to read like all the other children. It wasn't much, but it was all they could do for now. Sitting with her daughter, Huyen felt a strange sense of joy, the simplicity of the moment giving her a brief respite from the heavy burdens she carried. Maya, ever so obedient, listened carefully to every word Huyen said, her eyes wide with curiosity and eagerness to learn. As they sat there, Huyen's gaze drifted towards the road, and she saw Dee returning home. She couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions, relief that he was back, but also concern for the struggles he was facing. When he finally arrived, they sat down together, and Dee began to open up about his day. He sighed deeply before speaking. "I tried really hard today to find work, but the harvest season is over and no one's hiring. This area is so underdeveloped. It's almost impossible to find a job. I didn't make a single penny today." His voice carried the weight of frustration, the exhaustion of constant searching, and the fear of what tomorrow might bring. Huyen listened quietly, her heart aching for him. She understood how hard he had been trying, how much he wanted to build a better future for them. And yet, it seemed like every effort was met with a dead end. But despite everything, she didn't want to give up. She looked at him with a determined expression, her eyes filled with quiet strength. "I still want to stay here, Dee. I don't want to go back to my hometown. We'll make it through this together. We just have to keep trying. We'll get through this for Maya's future." Her voice was steady, but there was a softness behind it, a plea for them to hold on to the hope they had. "There's a market coming up soon. I'll go out and gather some wild vegetables to sell. Maybe that'll help us get by." She paused, thinking for a moment before adding, "And if the police ever find your missing motorbike, we'll have a way to take Maya to school." Dee nodded, his face softening at her resolve. He had always admired Huyen's strength and determination, even in the face of overwhelming odds. She had never given up on him, on Maya, or on their future. With a deep breath, Huyen grabbed the basket and headed out to search for wild vegetables. Meanwhile, Day stayed behind, tending to the garden, preparing the land for whatever they could grow. While she was out, Day and Maya stayed behind in the house. Dee, ever the caregiver, spent the afternoon teaching Maya her lessons. After the work was done, they went to the creek together to practice swimming. Despite everything they lacked in that moment, they were a family. Maya wasn't his biological daughter, but the love he showed her was no different from that of a father to his own child. Dee cared for her as if she were his own, and in return, Maya trusted him completely. As they splashed and laughed by the water, a sense of peace settled over them, a brief glimpse of happiness amidst their struggles. Maya's laughter echoed through the air, and for a moment it felt like nothing else in the world mattered. They were together, and for now, that was enough. Dee stayed at home, patiently waiting for Huyen to return from the market. He had prepared a delicious pot of rice porridge, hoping to surprise her with something comforting after her long day. He smiled to himself as he imagined how nice it would be to see her walk through the door. Not long after Huyen returned, looking tired but still carrying herself with grace. Day immediately rushed to her side, his concern evident. "Huyen, are you exhausted? Sit down. Let me bring you something special to eat." Just as he was about to serve her, an unexpected visitor arrived. Mr. Tu, the man who owned the land where Huyen and Maya had been living. Mr. Tu had been kind enough to let Huyen and her family stay there temporarily, giving them a chance to rebuild their lives. But today, he brought news that would shatter their fragile peace. "I'm sorry, Huyen," Mr. Tu began, his voice heavy with regret. "My son is facing some financial troubles, and I've decided to sell the land. There's already someone who has put down a deposit for it." Hearing those words, Huyen felt as though the ground beneath her feet had suddenly shifted. Her heart sank. If they lost this land, there was nowhere else for her and Maya to stay. This land had been their only refuge, the only place where they had found some semblance of safety. And now, that was being taken away from them. Mr. Tu continued, his face filled with remorse. "I'm sorry, but I can only give you another 4 or 5 days here. I really wish I could do more, but my son's situation is urgent. I hope you understand." Huyen's thoughts swirled. It felt like everything she had worked for, everything she had tried to build for her family, was slipping away. She had no choice but to accept the harsh reality. With tears in her eyes, she accepted the small sum of money Mr. Tu offered her, a final attempt at helping them before they were forced to leave. After Mr. Tu left Huyen, and they sat together in silence, their minds racing. They knew the truth. Now they couldn't stay here anymore. Everything was about to change, and the future felt uncertain. But they couldn't give up. Huyen made up her mind she and Maya would return to Dee's hometown, where they would start over. There, Maya would finally get the chance to go to school, and Dee would have a better shot at finding work. It wouldn't be easy, but they were determined to try. Yet even as they made their decision, Huyen couldn't shake the fear that lingered in her heart. Returning to her hometown meant facing the harsh reality of her past. Her ex-husband, who had caused her so much pain, would still be a threat. Could they truly start over, or would her past come crashing down on them once again? The road ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and obstacles, but Huyen and Dee were ready to face them. They were a family, and together they would find a way to move forward. Stay tuned to see what happens next. Will Huyen's ex-husband cause trouble for their new beginning? And what challenges will they face as they try to build a better life? Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so I can bring you the latest updates on Huyen and Dee's journey.
Xin chào mọi người, hôm nay chúng ta sẽ cập nhật những tin tức mới nhất về Huyền và Đệ. Hành trình đầy khó khăn của họ, Huyền luôn mơ ước được trở về quê hương, hy vọng có một khởi đầu mới và cuộc sống tốt đẹp hơn. Nhưng có một trở ngại rất lớn đã cản đường cô. Cô lo sợ người chồng cũ sẽ làm mọi cách để phá hoại gia đình cô và không cho gia đình cô có được sự bình yên. Và đúng lúc mọi chuyện không thể phức tạp hơn, một điều bất ngờ đã xảy ra. Ông Tư, người chủ sở hữu mảnh đất mà Huyền đang sinh sống, đột nhiên xuất hiện và yêu cầu họ rời khỏi mảnh đất để ông ta bán nó. Giờ đây Huyền và Đệ phải đối mặt với những khó khăn, họ sẽ làm gì tiếp theo? Liệu họ có thể tìm ra cách để tiến về phía trước, hay sẽ bị mắc kẹt trong một vòng luẩn quẩn nhất định? Chúng mình hãy cùng theo dõi và khám phá những diễn biến chính và lựa chọn khó khăn mà họ đưa ra. Nhưng trước khi bắt đầu, hãy nhớ bật chuông thông báo và đăng ký kênh YouTube để tôi có thêm động lực để phát triển hơn. Ờ, Bên bờ suối, Huyền ngồi lặng lẽ, chìm đắm trong suy tư, tâm tâm trí nặng trĩu bởi những quyết định khó khăn đang phải đối mặt. Huyền luôn biết rằng để luôn có một mơ ước được trở về quê hương, nơi họ có thể cùng nhau xây dựng cuộc sống tốt đẹp hơn. Bởi vì tại nơi đó Đệ có một căn nhà vững chãi, chắc chắn, mà họ có thể tự mà họ có thể sinh sống. Và hơn nữa, tại quê nhà của Đệ thì ờ, luôn dễ dàng tìm kiếm công việc, và Maya có thể đi học như các bạn bè cùng trang lứa. Tại vì ở nơi này trường học cách rất xa nhà, và Maya, con gái của Huyền, không có được một à, một cuộc sống như những đứa trẻ được đến trường như bao đứa trẻ khác.